Hey, welcome back to the channel. You see a bunch of knives on the table, and you know what that means. We're going to take a gander at these things. It's going to be interesting. Um, so I had an idea. I was watching a video about Rusty Miner. It got me to thinking about blade geometry. And so that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to look at some blade geometries that I think are above the rest. They rise to the top, and they're just beautifully designed knife blades. And so we're going to look at each of those and kind of talk about why I feel that way. And so I hope to see you in the video.
Two. Oh my gosh, I did
Yeah,
not
so
realize
you can drink out of it if you want to.
This is your window up?
I believe so.
Hey, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi to all my viewers out there. This is going to be a cool video. We're going to look at some really pretty blade geometries on some knives and talk about why I think they're set apart from most knife blades. But before I do that, I've got the new Shepherd Hills Cutlery Summer catalog, which is kind of weird because summer's pretty much over. But yeah, man, you just look through this and your mouth waters. Really nice. But my wife saw this on the table, which that's no accident. Okay, so I leave this on the table so that she will look at it. And she did. She picked it up and she goes, "Oh, that's a pretty knife. Do you like that knife?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, honey, it's gorgeous." And so she's looking at it, and I said, "But you know, that's a $300 knife." And she immediately drops the magazine on the table and walks away. So she loves me. She just doesn't love me this much. I thought it's hilarious. My wife's hilarious. All right, let's get into these blade geometries, and it's going to be pretty cool. All right, so my wolf has sniffed out the knife. So this is, of course, Rosecrest Barlow. I was watching Rusty Miner's video recently he did of his Rosecraft Otter Creek Barlow. And the reason you should check out Rusty is, you know, every content provider gets this knife and puts their own spin on it. But while I was watching his video, I just so thoroughly enjoyed it. His unique way of talking about a knife is just really enjoyable. I hope you guys will take a minute and check him out. And so while I'm watching it, he talked about this blade geometry and profile here and showed it a little bit, but that got me to thinking. So let me show you something here with this case sodbuster, and maybe I can show you where I'm coming from. When you look at these two blades, they're of course different blade geometries. This is an upswept blade and this is a clip point, but you can see what I'm talking about here. When you look at these two knife blades, which one jumps out at you and makes you want to pick the knife up? Yeah, it's this one, right? And so this is not normal either, and we're going to talk about that just a second here. So here is a Wolstenholme from the 60s, and you see that clip blade right there. And so like many clip blades, it starts out, come on, snap in. It starts out a certain width and stays that way. And then up here at the apex, they'll widen sometimes, but actually the edge of the knife has not changed. And it doesn't change until it gets to the end here. And then it sweeps up to form the point. and that sweep is going to meet this clip coming down. And again, you could see this clip. It's just kind of a normal clip there coming down. That's your normal clip blade. Now, when you look at this thing, it's like design genius. So when you look at this, it looks like the blade is canted down somewhat. But if you look at it, you can see the edge here is just straight. Okay, it gives the appearance, the way this thing is designed, that it has extra belly on it, but it isn't. It's just a design feature of the knife. And so you have the width here at the base of the knife, and you see as this goes up, we're at the apex here, and that's the width of the knife. And then that starts your clip, and the clip comes down, and right about here or here, you start your belly swing up to the knife. And that is just a beautifully designed knife that gives you the impression of a feature that's really not there. It gives you the impression that this thing has some belly to it, but you can see it really doesn't. And it's just artfully done. And that large, prominent swedge on there. So that swedge, it's hard to tell, but that's how much swedge you got, and that's how much blade is left. So this is over 50% of the knife has a swedge in it. Just a gorgeous example of a unique and beautifully done clip point that's strong and functional too. All right, so we're going to move on. This is a Rosecraft sow belly, and I wanted you to take a look at this really unusual clip right there. And whether this thing just really sets you off, like, wow, I love that, or you're kind of like, it's not just doing it for me. It's unusual. It's very unusual. In fact, I don't think you'll see another clip like that. And so let's match it up with a normal clip that you see on most knives, and you can see there's a lot of differences here. And so what you have is an amalgamation of a couple different patterns, really. So you have this upsweep here, like on an upsweep blade, but you also have a clip, and it's also a long clip. So it's like a California clip on here, but it's not thin enough, and the curve is not deep enough to really be a California clip. It's just like Andy has taken a little bit from here and a little bit from there and put it in the pot and made a beautiful apple pie. And this is just a gorgeous, unusual example of a clip blade. So let's move on to another one. So this is a Case 110. It's a Tony Bowes pattern that was designed by Tony Bowes. And I really wanted to show you this blade right here. And it's really extraordinary. But once I got this knife out, I realized, you know what? Both these blades are worth talking about. So we're going to talk about both these blades. But when you first look at this blade, this is kind of like I think it's supposed to be a trapper pattern. And so this blade is supposed to be the cleaning blade, skinning blade, and there's your clip point right there. So what you have here, though, is a really unusual, artfully done blade by Tony Bowes. Different from, I think, anything that you'll see. And when you look at this geometry of this blade, initially you're kind of thinking it's a clip blade, but really it's supposed to be a skinning blade and can function well as a skinning blade. But what does that blade geometry make you think about? So it looks like a Turkish clip. And the difference between a Turkish clip and a California clip, let me just show you a Case's California clip, but most of them are similar. It looks more, you have a straight edge on the bottom, and on the top you have a small flat portion, and then a really long sloping clip on it. Come on. And that's a California clip blade right there. A Turkish clip differs because it actually dips down, creating a belly here, and then it sweeps up in the point, the termination of the point, you can see here is in the middle, but on a Turkish clip, it's actually above this, the spine, the plane of the spine of the knife. And so you don't see very many Turkish clips because of that, because it has to be a little wider than the actual base of the knife. But that's what this is. And it is so close. I don't think this tip extends above. It really could, depending on how you hold this knife. It looks like it's a little above, but it just all depends how you hold the knife. But even if it's just there, that's the design of this knife. It's like a Turkish clip, but turned into kind of like a bigger belly here for skinning, and just a beautifully designed blade right there. Unusual, so you don't see that with any other knife. And another hallmark of the Turkish clip is it starts out like straight, and then it cuts off at an angle down, and that's how it creates the belly before it sweeps up. And that's what you see on this knife right here. So kind of like a Turkish clip. I'm not really 100% I would call it that, but just a beautiful design on that. And then on this side right here, another just beautiful example of a clip blade right here. And this is like a long clip where you have a high apex, and so it's like Case's B clip, but it's a lot longer than Case's B clip. We'll look at that in a minute. And then you have a nice grind going right here, which is really not a saber grind. It's more like a flat grind, but it creates different geometries here that are really, really pleasing, with a wide, just prominent swedge on there, and just a beautiful little clip blade. And again, you know, when you look at your regular clip, this just, you know, it's just going to set it off and catches your eye right away. And that's what I'm talking about with these blades. Blades that just catch your eye and draw you into the knife to say, wow, there's something about that knife I really like. And what it is blade geometry. All right, so I want to look at another clip that I think is just set above all the rest. And this is a Case Copperhead. And when you open this bad bear up, you see this wonderful blade geometry on this clip right here. And, you know, I did a video on Case clips, and this is Case's B clip. And so the difference is this apex is higher and the clip is actually shorter. So it gives kind of a pug look to the blade. Totally different look than a regular clip to the blade because of how high this apex is. And you can see here, we'll look at this. So this is the width of your blade to start. And as you go, you can see how wide that apex presents on the blade. And it just creates this really crazy looking clip that's very attractive and just draws you in. And it's just a flat grind with a very prominent swedge and a very pointy point to it on that clip right there. And if you look at other knives, you really notice it. So this is the Buck 112 light And if you open these two knives up, they're very similar in size. Okay, so the buck is actually maybe an eighth. I think it's a little less than an eighth larger than this knife here, but the blades are very similar, and that's what I'm talking about. A well designed and executed blade geometry, the difference that it makes. And you can just see that this buck 110 just looks blah, right? It just like, oh my gosh. Now, it's not saying that that thing wouldn't do a good job. I'm sure it does, but it just doesn't look as sexy as this case does. And that is just a fact. Look at that. So which would you choose? When you open the knives up, you're going to gravitate toward this sexy looking B-clip blade right here. Really nice job by Case. This is an old Case design that's been on their knives for many, many years. All right, now we're going to dive into the Lambsfoot. So this is a blade geometry I don't have a lot, because this is a blade very prominent in England, but not so much in America. And only recently, I think with Rosecraft's input rather, I'm sorry, other knife manufacturers are realizing what a great blade this is and incorporating it in their lineups. But so it looks kind of like a sheep's foot, but it's not a sheep's foot. And so the difference is your lamb's foot starts out wide. You have a straight edge, just like a sheep's foot, but the blade gets thinner and thinner. You can see that it goes till the apex, and then you have a sharp 45-degree angle there, where a sheep's foot kind of rolls over and is round. So this is actually a better lamb's foot than I've seen on many English knives, and that's where the lamb's foot comes from, is England. And so that's remarkable. But this is just a super good looking blade. You see that very prominent swedge, which is kind of Andy Armstrong's trademark, and just probably the best lamb's foot I've ever seen on this little knife right here. And that's all we'll say on that. So I just wanted to, some of these knives I just threw in here because, they deserve to be. This is Rough Riders Moose pattern, and a little different. And so you have a really nice clip blade on here. Again, probably designed by Andy Armstrong, and it looks very similar to his. And then you have that crazy Turkish clip blade right here. Really good example of a Turkish clip, because it starts off in one direction, and then you have like a 30-degree cant comes down here, and that's what creates the belly. On these Turkish clips, one of the things that you could see is if you follow the outline of the knife, the edge of the knife, which most knife blades will follow that, you see how this dips down, and you can see that right there. And then if you follow the profile of the spine right there, you see how the clip is pulling up into that spine. And so this isn't really a Turkish clip. It looks a lot like it. The difference is they have taken the point that would have come up to about here, and they cut it off and made like a Turkish spay blade. So again, a lot like that other knife we looked at, but really nice design, and really probably a pretty good skinner this would be. So I just wanted to mention that. This is a GEC. It's a Coke bottle knife, and the Coke bottles are kind of known for their being big and robust. This is a medium Coke bottle right here, but they all had these really good looking clip blades on them. And it's created because most Coke bottles have a saber grind. And so when you create that saber grind, you create this great flat geometry right here. And then GEC has put a very prominent swedge on this side right there. And then when you look at the other side, you see that swedge extends all the way down here on the spine on the other side. See that? And it just creates all these different geometries that present a very attractive, good looking blade right there. That is just awesome looking. And these clips, which are similar to a B clip, Case's B clip, but they're a lot longer. And these clips with the high apexes and then the saber grind just look absolutely stunning. Schrade did a bunch of knives in this type of geometry, and they're really good looking knives. But I wanted to throw that one out there. I want to talk about this unusual knife here. So this is a Rough Rider Reserve. And when you open it up, you have kind of a different blade there. And so let's look at what we got here. And I recognize this blade as being something different, but not necessarily, oh, wow, I got to go out and buy that blade. But there's something different about this blade. I think you recognize that as soon as you pick this knife up. And I don't think your mind really even can wrap itself around the geometries on this blade and understand what's really going on here. So we're going to look at that and explain why this is such a terrific blade geometry on this knife. So this is a GC's boys badge knife, really nice knife, by the way, and that is just a standard spear point blade. And a lot of times you can't really tell whether something's a drop point or a spear point, and really has to do with the edge and where the sweep starts on the edge of the knife. And so this is pretty much a typical spear point knife. The reason it looks a little different, it has a very prominent swedge right there, but I'll show you that in a minute here. So we're looking at the base of the knife. You see, this is how wide it is. If you go down this knife, it maintains that edge all the way to about right there. And then both sides of this knife start dipping towards the center. So that is a spear point, both equal kind of curves towards the center of the point of the knife is a spear point, traditional spear point. Let me show you another one here. This is a really old knife right here, and them long skinny spear points. And I've got one more. Let's see. I'll show you this one. This is a Cornwall cutlery. Again, you see the spear point blade. And so when you look at this knife, it looks radically different. And one, it has a greater height than is normal for a spear point blade. I need to just show you. Let's see here. Yeah, let me show you this one. I haven't showed you this one yet. It's my GEC Eureka Jack. Really nice spear point right there. This is a little different too because at the base, it's smaller at the base than it is here. So you have this effect where the knife is kind of getting wider, and then you have a wide spear point. And that's a thing a lot of manufacturers, a common variation in the spear point. And so when you look at these two knives, you see how radically different this Rough Rider is. And I think this is a spear point. But again, this is a designer taking a blade and merging a bunch of different patterns into it. And so if you look at the blade, you have a really nice straight edge there. And then you have an upsweep towards the point. So upswept blades, you have a flat spine and the blade comes up to a point at the spine. That's an upswept blade geometry. And so this doesn't go to the plane of the spine of the blade, but it starts to curve like a drop point. And that's what drop points do. They curve down like this. And then when you look at this, it kind of looks like a spear point almost, but it's not. And the reason it's not is if you look at the tip here, what is actually happening, let me see if I could show. Like usually your tip of the blade will be in the center of the blade. So if you follow that center down, should be right there, but the point is up here. So this is kind of like a modified spear point where the tip is a little above where it would normally fall on the knife. And so on a real spear point, most drop points come down and with a curve to the point in the middle of the knife, just like a clip comes down in a convex with a curve the other way coming in on the blade to the center point of the knife blade. And so this is really different geometry right here. And you have a really nice matchstick nail pull right there that kind of sets off that big wide blade right there. Just gorgeous geometry on this blade, and different, really different. All right, finally I'm going to stop at the razor, and I'll probably do another video on these unique and beautiful blade geometries on modern folders, but it just would be too long for this video, so I'm going to split them up. And of course this is a razor knife, and also called a one-arm bandit because it's designed here at the tip so that you could press this against a table or a belt and a one-armed man could open it. And the reason I really like this, I think the geometry on this looks really good. It's a frost cutlery, but it almost looks like somebody put the tip of their finger in there to create the blade. Look at that, how perfect that is. And then a nice little belly here, and so your base is smaller and then the belly is wider here, so you have that, again, that geometry that's creating a belly in the knife going up. And let me just show you what normally a razor type knife would look like. And so they look a lot like a coping blade, but they have straight geometries on the edge, so the edge parallels the spine of the knife, and then you had a 45-degree cut down in there. Now it differs slightly from a coping blade in that the geometry on here isn't quite 45 degrees, and that there's always like a slight curve here that creates a really sharp point. And so just a different way to achieve a point than a coping blade, but very similar. And as you look at this, it's kind of just blob, boring, you know, a big chunk of metal that's clipped off, and not really aesthetically pleasing when you look at that. And then when you look at this razor blade, you see much different geometry that kind of really looks a lot better, doesn't it? Yeah. So I've always liked the geometry on this. Case is very similar to this. So they probably copied Case's one-arm bandit design, but Case is a little more cute angle here in this curve, and so it's a little different. I was going to include that, but decided not to. So thanks for checking out the video. I hope you found it as fascinating as I thought it would be. So you get these ideas and you're like, man, this is a great idea. And then people are like, oh my gosh, this is a horrible video. So yeah, that's the way it is. You know, you don't hit a home run unless you step up to the plate and swing at the ball. And so that's all you can do. Come up with an idea, swing at that ball. Maybe people will like it, maybe they won't. I don't worry about it. I just try to put good content out there for you guys because I really, really appreciate you. All your likes, your shares, your comments, and for watching the video. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next video.